In this video, I will show you how to use Snapchat Conversions API with server-side Google Tag Manager. The process is quite similar to the Facebook Conversions API, but there are also some differences. Let's take a look. When it comes to tracking conversions with Snapchat's Conversions API and server-side Google Tag Manager, you mainly have two options. The first option is, let's say that the visitor lands on your website. Then you have website Google Tag Manager, and in that container, you fire, let's say, Google Analytics tag if you're using that. If you're not using that, then you could use Stape's data tag, and that tag would send data to your server-side Google Tag Manager container. And from that server, you could send the conversions or page views to Snapchat servers. Technically, this is enough because this particular setup would still handle Snapchat's ad click cookies properly. But just like many other ad platforms, they recommend that you would also implement a pixel in the browser. So in this case, you would be sending data to your server and from the server to Snapchat, but also you would have Snapchat's pixel running in the browser and sending the same data to Snapchat. Then this would be handled by event deduplication, where if you send two identical events from different sources, let's say one from server and one from browser, Snapchat would be able to deduplicate and remove all repeating data so that your numbers in Snapchat Ads Manager would not be inflated. First, let's take a look at this particular option, and then in the second half of this video, I will also show how to enhance this with the Snapchat Pixel as well. Here I have a demo website where I will be installing Snap Conversions API. On this website, I have a web Google Tag Manager container. This container right now is pretty basic. It just contains the Google tag for Google Analytics, and this tag sends data to this particular measurement ID, but all requests are sent to my own server, or in other words, server-side Google Tag Manager container. That container is available right here. It does not have much, except that it just forwards data further to Google Analytics 4. This server is hosted on Stape.io. If you have no idea how to have this kind of setup, because in the context of server-side Google Tag Manager, this is the bare minimum that you should have. So if you have no idea how to do this, I have a tutorial that I will post a link to it below the video. So watch that video first, how to get started with server-side tagging, and then come back to this tutorial. Also in this video, I assume that you already have the Snapchat Ads Manager account. This is needed because we will have to get the Pixel ID and also the Conversions API token. So if we look at the first option, right now I have this part right here. I have a website, I have a web Google Tag Manager container, and this particular Google Analytics tag sends data to my server-side Google Tag Manager. Of course, right now I'm sending just page views, but later I will show you how to send the purchases, or in other words, conversions as well. So first, let's take a quick look at whether this is working fine. In the web Google Tag Manager container, I will click preview. I will then go to the home page, click connect, and then in the server Google Tag Manager container, I will also click preview to open this container's preview mode, and I already see the page view. If you don't see it, then go back to the website, just click refresh. And what will happen is that in the website container, the tag will fire. It will send the event to my server, and in the server's preview mode, I will see the events. As you can see, all of them contain the word collect, so this is related to Google Analytics. Now, if I click page view, I see that some data was sent further to Google Analytics, but nothing is sent to Snap. So this is our next step that we will have to do. So let's go to server-side Google Tag Manager container, then templates. Then in the tag template section, click search gallery, then click this icon to search and enter Snap. And let's use Stape's Conversion API template. Click add to workspace, add, and then let's go to tags, click new, tag configuration, then Snapchat Conversion API. And here we have to select what kind of event are we going to send. So the first event that we will send is page view. So here we should select page view. Then we have to enter Pixel ID and access token. This is where we have to go to the Snapchat Ads Manager. So let's go there. Then in the menu, select Events Manager. And if you are new here, then you will need to click New Event Source, then select Web, Next, Create My Snap Pixel. And here I will have to enter the URL of the website. So it will be this one. Then click check. Although no, this time the check will not work because this website is not publicly available. So maybe I should click skip. then manual setup. And right now I care about Conversions API, so let's select this option and click Next. Then I will be using the manual setup and click Next again. And then here we should click Next because here we can select certain events. In this tutorial, we are going to track page view and purchase events. So click Next. Then we will get some tips of what should we track, how should we send that. But since we are using tag templates in Google Tag Manager, this is not necessary because we will handle that in a bit simpler way. So click Next. And here's my access token. So I can copy it, then go to the server container. Access token right here should be pasted. Then let's go back here, click Finish. And I still need the Snap Pixel ID. So here we can click on the Events Manager or actually on this menu button, then go to Pixels. And here is my Pixel ID. So I can just copy it and then paste it right here. So for the basic page view, this is the bare minimum that should be enough. Then let's click triggering. And this time I want this particular tag to fire on all incoming page view events, but those page view events that are related to Google Analytics. So each Google Analytics page view is claimed by the GA4 client. Therefore, my trigger could contain two conditions. Client name is GA4 and event name is page view. So let's do that. I will create a new trigger in the server container. It will be custom and then some events where event name equals page view. And then another condition where client name equals GA4. This is case sensitive. If you don't see the client name variable in this list, you can click choose built-in variable and then select that variable right there. Now let's give this trigger a name. So let's say GA4 page view and click save. Finally, let's name this tag and click save. Let's test if this is working. So first I will refresh the preview mode in the server container, and then I will go to the website container and click preview there. This will refresh the preview mode. And then in the website containers preview mode, I see the tag fired. Then in server containers preview mode, I see page view. And if I click it, I see that my Snapchat's page view event has fired successfully. And if I click it and click on the outgoing request, I can see what kind of information was sent to Snapchat. If you want, you can also try to use the test events section, but personally for me, I've had mixed results with it. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. So I will just show you how to enable this and then you can try this on your own, because for me right now, this is not working, even though I definitely see the events being processed in the events data manager. So if I go to test events, click on Conversions API, here I will see the request URL, and normally the events are sent to /events, but this time if we want to test this, we have to add validate. So in the tag template of the server container, we have the test events section right here, test mode. So if you enable it, save it, refresh it, and then send the requests again, you should see the events coming in here. But again, for me, when I'm recording this video right now, it does not work. So maybe something is wrong on the Snapchat's end. Nevertheless, I have been sending these events actually for several hours now. So I see the last received event right here. It's not in real time. This event actually was received a while ago, but I see that the data is actually coming in properly. So for the basic setup of the page view tracking, this is enough. Now, if you want to send a conversion, let's say a purchase, let's see what we can do then. By the way, I release Google Analytics or Google Tag Manager tutorials every week. If you want consistent flow of fresh knowledge and to stay up to date, then subscribe to this channel. It will help us a lot. First of all, I will go to my server-side Google Tag Manager container. Then on my Sandbox website, I will go to Pages. And here I have a sample e-commerce page where the purchase event is triggered. So if I go to GA4 purchase tracking and then purchase, then this will initiate a purchase event in the data layer on the website container. In the data layer, I see various information about the purchase. So now technically I could send this information to my server. The event name is purchase. So in the web container, I will go to tags, new, or actually no, maybe I should go to the GA4 config tag, and first I would need to get the tag ID. Technically, you could use a constant variable here that stores this variable, but this tutorial is already quite long, so I decided that I will skip that part. So now I will just copy the tag ID then click New, Tag Configuration, then select GA4 event, enter the measurement ID, and then type purchase. And then in more settings, I will click Send e-commerce data and take this data from the data layer. This option works if your e-commerce data is structured exactly like this, and it is following Google Analytics 4 naming convention. Then I need to configure the trigger for this tag. This tag should fire when event is purchased. If in your case the event name is different, you will need to enter that name. So in triggering, click anywhere, then click plus, trigger configuration, and then custom event. Here I will type purchase, and I will give this trigger a name. Click save. This trigger will be then added automatically to the tag. And finally, let's name this tag, for example, like this, and click save. Now, if I click preview, this will refresh the preview mode on my website. Then I will go to pages, e-commerce page, and then purchase. Then this purchase event will be visible in the preview mode of server-side container. If I click here, I can go to event data and I will see that things like items were processed, also shipping tags, value, and so on. Since this is following a GA4 naming convention, the Snapchat Conversions API tag in the server container can automatically pick this. All I need to do is just to create a tag. So if I go to the server container, then tags, I could then go to the page view tag, click three dots, copy, and then rename it to purchase. Then event name here should also be purchase. The pixel ID and access token should remain the same. Then all the other settings can remain as they are, because the purchase event will automatically pick the purchase data coming from the incoming GA4 event. Or you know what? Actually, I think in the server container preview mode in the event data tab, I should have the user email somewhere, because that user email should be sent together with this request. Let me check. So if I go to purchase in the data layer, I see this, but let me check if this is actually received. If not, we will need to configure something in the GA4 tag. Okay, so this is not received. We have to manually send it. So first we will need to create a variable that accesses the user email. If you don't have the user email or user data in general, then you can skip this part. But I could definitely use this and send it to Snapchat. So let's go to Web Google Tag Manager container, variables, then user-defined variables, click new, variable configuration, and data layer variable. Here I will have to enter user_email. In your case, if the name is different of the parameter, then enter that name. Then let's give this variable a name. And when it comes to sending user data from the website to server with Google Analytics, you have to create another variable, which is called user provided data. Inside that variable, we will insert the email address. So click new again to create another variable, and that variable's type is user provided data. Keep the manual configuration, and then in the email, let's select that data layer variable. If you have more user data, like phone number, for example, you could create a data layer for that and then select that variable right here. Let's call this user provided data and click save. Now let's go to tags and update our GA4 purchase tag with a parameter. So in the event parameters section, click anywhere, add parameter, and then type exactly user_data. It is a known parameter, so you will see a check mark right here. And then here in the value, we have to insert that user provided data variable. Click save. Then let's refresh the website preview mode. Click continue. And then I will go to the website and make a purchase. So go to this page, then I will click this. Then a purchase event should appear here. And if I click that event, then event data, now I should see the user information, which is user data and then email. So now the Snapchat Conversions API tag built by Stape will automatically pick this information and send it further to Snapchat. So let's go to the tag, and in this case we don't have to configure anything else because this data will be picked up automatically. If on the other hand your user data is stored somewhere else, not in the user data but some custom parameter, then you would need to create an event data variable and insert it right here in the user data parameters section of the Snapchat Conversions API tag. So here you would need to click add property, email, and then here you would need to create a variable. So I would click plus, and then I would select event data. And here I would have to enter the name of the parameter where that email is stored. For example, maybe it's just user and then .email, or maybe just user email and that's it. So it depends on the situation. But again, since my data is following GA4 naming convention, I kind of don't need these steps. Now let's remove this, and then I will need to create another trigger. Instead of page view, I will create a purchase trigger. So click plus here, trigger configuration, custom, and then some events where client name equals GA4, because maybe your server receives data from more sources, not just Google Analytics, and then event name equals purchase, because in the preview mode, it is purchase right here. So click save, and then let's call this GA4 purchase and click save. Then save the tag and let's test if this is working. So first refresh the server container preview mode, then go to the web Google Tag Manager container, click preview there. And then I will go to the website, click pages, then make a purchase. And that purchase should be visible right here. The tag fired. And if I click it and click on the outgoing request, I will see that together with the purchase event, I also sent the product ID, product quantity, the price, also total value of the order, currency. Also, we are sending email, which was automatically hashed. So as you can see, a lot of stuff is being sent and this is working properly. So when it comes to the first option, we are done. We sent some events with website Google Tag Manager container to server container. We did this with page views and purchases. And then in the server container, we sent this data further to Snapchat servers. Now let's take a look at the second option. If you also want to implement an additional layer of data collection, which is Snapchat Pixel in the web container. While installing the pixel itself is easy, we will also need to handle the event deduplication, because the same purchase will be sent through this route and also here. So we need to make sure that the event IDs between both purchases or both page views is the same. Now let's go to the website Google Tag Manager container and add a Snap Pixel template. You can do that by going to templates. Then in the tag templates, click search gallery, then search for Snap Pixel and click add to workspace. Then click add. And now in the tags, if we click new and tag configuration, you will see that Snap Pixel is now an option. But before we do that, first we need to do some configuration in Google Analytics tags. Right now, the GA4 config tag is responsible for sending the page view. But also this tag is responsible for sending other events like user engagement and all that stuff. Now, I'm going a bit ahead of myself right now, but basically we will need to send a thing called event ID with certain events. For example, page view and purchase, because these events will be tracked both by Pixel, and I mean Snapchat Pixel, and by Conversions API. So I don't want to pollute other automatic GA4 events with the event ID. Therefore, first I will disable automatic page view tracking in this tag. You can do this by adding a parameter called send page view, set it to false, then click save. And then let's create a new tag for the page view. It will be a GA4 event tag, which will send data to the same measurement property, and its name will be page view. This tag should fire later than the GA4 configuration tag, also known as Google tag. My Google tag fires on initialization, so this could fire technically, let's say, on DOM ready, which in the preview mode happens a bit later than initialization. So I could click plus right here, trigger configuration, DOM ready, and then call this DOM ready all pages, something like that. So this tag will fire, it will capture the page view, and it will also automatically capture some things like page URL, page title, and so on. Now let's name this tag and save it. So now I have two GA4 event tags, one for page view, one for purchase, because these are two events that I will be sending also with Snapchat Pixel. Now let's create the Snapchat Pixel tags. Click new, tag configuration, then Snap Pixel. And here first I have to enter the pixel ID. You can find that in the Snapchat Ads Manager. For example, if you select your pixel in the event sources, you can just copy this and then paste it right here. First, I will keep the event type as page view because that's the event that I'm tracking right now. I don't have any user information at the moment available, so I will skip all of these fields right here. I also don't have any e-commerce data with the page view, so I will skip these parts right here as well. And later, I will configure the client deduplication ID. So for the page view, this is pretty much all I need. And now the triggering. Now, this is important. Your Snapchat page view tag must fire on the same trigger as your GA4 page view tag. In my case, that is DOM ready. So I will fire DOM ready all pages. And then I will name this tag something like this, and then click save. So this is important. This tag and this tag use the same trigger. By the way, did you know that I have a bunch of free ebooks on Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics? So if you want to better learn these topics, then click the link below the video, download those ebooks, and get started. And now let's track purchases. So I will go to the Snap page view tag, click 3 dots to make a copy. Then let's name this, let's say purchase. Then in the tag configuration, we will change the event type to purchase. And we have more things that we can enter right here. For example, when the purchase happens, we have the email right here, and we have already created a variable for that. So here in the user email, we can click the button and insert the user email variable. I don't have any other user information, so I will skip these fields. Then let's take a look at e-commerce related fields. Here we have price, so that's order total. We can fill in that. Then item category, you could fill in that, but basically it accepts just one value. So if you sell multiple products, then this field kind of becomes redundant. So I will skip this. Then I can list the item IDs. Then I can definitely enter the currency, number of purchased items, and then transaction ID. So let's do that. First, let's start with the price. In the data layer, I have the order total as value right here. So I will need to create a data layer variable, which is e-commerce.value. So here in the price, let's click this button, then click plus to create a new variable, click variable configuration, and then data layer variable. Here I will enter e-commerce.value, and then I will name this variable like this and click save. Then we have item category, but as I've said, I will skip that. Then item IDs. So here we will need to create a custom JavaScript variable, but the process is more complicated. So for now, I will just save this tag without any other modifications, and let's proceed with the custom JavaScript stuff. So first, let's go to the variables. And basically what we will need to do is to create a variable that will loop through all products in the items array, and then we'll pick the item IDs. To access this information, first we need to create a data layer variable for e-commerce. So let's go to variables, new variable configuration, and then data layer variable. Here we just type e-commerce, and I don't want to overwhelm you with too many technical details. So just remember that in this case, it's important to select data layer version 1. Then let's name this variable and click save. Then let's create a JavaScript variable that will return the list of item IDs. So click new, then variable configuration, custom JavaScript variable. And below this video, you will find a link to the codes that I will be using. There are 2 codes. The first code will return the item IDs. So just copy that code starting from function and ending right here. Once you copy it, paste it right here. And then instead of this, start typing double curly braces and then select the variable. Because if you named it something else, then that something else must be added right here. And as you can see, the variable is surrounded by double curly braces. Then let's call this CGS item IDs. Click save. And then there will be one more field where we will have to enter the number of items that were purchased, basically item quantity. So let's create that variable as well. Click new, variable configuration, custom JavaScript variable, and then copy the second code. Then go to Google Tag Manager, paste it, and also replace this with your own variable name. Then let's call this item quantity, or maybe even total item quantity, and click save. Now let's go back to tags, then open the purchase tag, and let's continue editing it. So the price is ready. Item IDs, let's enter that variable by clicking this button, and then item IDs like this, then currency. In this case, I have currency somewhere right here. Yes, here it is. And in my case, it's always euros. So if you want, you can just type the currency, let's say euros or US dollars, But if in your case the currency can change, then it might make sense to create a variable that dynamically takes the value. But in my case, it's euros. Then number of items. So let's add total item quantity. Then transaction ID. So I have transaction ID here. I need to create a variable for it. So let's go back here, click the button and create a new variable. Click variable configuration, data layer variable, and then let's check where we have it. So it's e-commerce.transaction ID like this, and then name this variable and click save. We can leave all the other fields empty, and then the duplication part will be handled at the end of this video. Then let's change the triggering from DOM ready to purchase. Again, it's important that this tag and the GA4 purchase tag uses the same trigger. So click save. And let's test if this is working in the browser. You can click preview to refresh the preview mode. And I see that my snap page view fired on the initialization. Oh, sorry. No, it's fired on DOM ready. If you want to test this even more thoroughly, you could install the Snap Pixel Helper extension. I will post a link to it below the video. Once you install that extension, it will become available right here, Snap Pixel Helper. So now if I go to my website where Snap Pixel tag fired, I go to my extensions, I click on Snap Pixel Helper, and I see that right now one event was tracked. It is page view. You can expand it to see what kind of information was sent. Now let me go to another page and complete the purchase. So I will click purchase right here. Then if I go to the Snap Pixel Helper, I will see two events. I can expand the purchase and I see things like hashed email, then transaction ID, price, item IDs. Right now, I kind of purchased one product, but if there were more products, then all of those IDs would be listed right here. So this seems okay, and I don't see any warnings. So we are almost done. So far, what we have completed is that we have Snap Pixel installed on a website. We also have GA4 tags firing and sending data to the server. In the server, we have incoming events, and on purchase and page view, we see the Snap Conversions API tag firing, and we see that they send data to Snapchat. But right now, we are sending duplicated data. We send one purchase from the browser and one purchase from the server. Now we have to tell Snapchat that both of these events are the same event. And this can be done fairly easily with a variable called unique event ID. So let's go to the website Google Tag Manager container, click templates, then in variable templates, click search gallery, and then start typing event ID and select unique event ID template created by Stape. Then add to workspace, add, and then let's go to tags and update all of these tags and include the event ID there. So in GA4 page view tag, let's expand it, add event parameters, add parameter, and enter event ID exactly like this. And then here we should insert a variable. So we haven't created it yet, but we will do that now. So click this button, then click plus, variable configuration, and unique event ID. There's no configuration required, so just name this unique event ID and save. Then save the tag and repeat the same process for other GA4 events where you want to include the event ID. And then insert the variable, click save. Now let's go to Snapchat page view tag, then scroll down, and in the client deduplication ID, also insert that variable, which is right here. Click save, then snap purchase. Also insert that variable right here. Now let's test if this is working. So first I will refresh the website containers preview mode. And then I go to the website, then I click Snap Pixel Helper, and here I see page view, and one of the parameters is client deduplication ID, and its value is this one. Now I don't see the entire value, so I can just quickly copy it, maybe paste it right here, and I see that it ends with 922. Now if I go to the server container, I click the latest page view that I received, I click on Snap Page View Conversions API tag, click the outgoing request. Here I see that event ID is also 922, which is the same. So as you can see, everything is working fine. Now let's do one more test with the purchase. So I will go to another page. then make the test purchase. And here I will see that purchase was also tracked by the pixel helper. The client deduplication ID is this one, so I will copy it. This time it ends with 822, and if I go to the server container, click purchase, then click the tag, click the outgoing request, and then check the event ID, it's also the same. So this is working as expected. And that way we completed the second option, which is sending data with server-side Google Tag Manager, but also sending events directly via Snapchat Pixel, and then we deduplicated those events. The last step would be for you to publish these changes in both containers, the web container and the server container. So you should do that by clicking the Submit button. And that is how you can configure Snapchat Conversions API with Google Tag Manager. If you found this video useful, hit the like button. That will help me understand what videos do you like and what should I create in the future. Also, if you want to learn more about Google Tag Manager or Google Analytics, then subscribe to this channel. My name is Julius, this is Analytics Mania, and I'll see you in the next video.